It's time to now start thinking about getting our broad beans planted out. So mine are looking a little bit like this. Some of them are a little bit smaller and some of them actually haven't germinated yet. I think I've got 4 pots. One has just started germinating and the rest I haven't got anything at all. So yours may be a little bit smaller, and don't worry, that's absolutely fine. But once they do get to this stage, then the next thing we want to do is harden them off for a few days. Harden them off is really about taking what are quite pampered plants in a controlled environment into plants that are stable and able to take the conditions of the harsher environments outside. So for me, they have had wind because they're in a polytunnel, and they've had a lot of the storms and things where they've had a lot of movement. So they're good and sturdy and strong, and they've had quite a bit of temperature fluctuation. So I'm not really going to be worrying about doing this for very long. So it's just going to be a couple of days of moving them outside and getting them used to the temperature changes and also that little bit more of wind as well. I have been doing that for mine over the last few days and they are now ready to be planted outside. We do, however, have a -2 tonight. This is the only opportunity that I've got to get them in, and they are ready and they don't want to get root bound, so I am going to pop them out, and then I'll just pop a bit of netting over them to help. Although it says -2, it's likely to get quite a bit colder. It always does in our area, and I just don't want them to get frostbitten at this point. That's what the roots are looking like at the moment. They do have space for more roots, but I certainly wouldn't want to leave them in the pot for too much longer, and they are a good size to pop out. We don't want them too big and definitely too leggy. That's why we've been growing in cold environments, because then what can happen is the frost hits them a little bit too hard and does too much damage that they can't as easily recover from. And this is what the tray of the soil blocker ones look like as well. So they've actually done really well as well. I will be selecting the better ones out of these. I've got a net to cover them initially, just give them that little bit of protection, and then I'm going to have some that aren't under a net because I don't have enough net covers currently to actually provide them all with that space, but I will be keeping some of them back just to keep us spares as well. If you have got that you're doing, then you may want to pop them on into a slightly larger pot to make sure that they don't get pot bound. So this is the bed that the broad beans are going to go in. So they're going to go all the way down to here if we have enough plants. And you can see I've just already popped a few out already planted in. So to prepare this bed, all we've done is clear out any remaining crops that were in it. There were some leeks in there. Then we've given it a quick hoe and added some compost onto the top. So the spacing that we're looking at for these is about 15 centimetres, which is roughly between your thumb and your finger between each of the stalks. And then you can also see that I'm staggering the planting for each row. This is just to help airflow. We're going to be planting these at the same height that they're in their pots, and just going to remove any weeds before they go popped in as well. I'm just going to dig a little hole, turn your pot upside down, give it a little bit of a squeeze. These are quite dry, but it's going to rain tomorrow, so that's not really a problem. Now you can see the roots, and we're just going to pop them in, trying not to get them any deeper. Give them a bit of a firm in, just to make sure that they are well supported. And Clay's going to help. Thank you, Clay. Off we go. So that's all the broad beans planted now. So they go all the way along here next to the brassicas. The net there will stay on until it's a little bit milder in the spring, or I see the first evidence of some flowers, and then it's going to come off. I don't want to leave it on too long because it will support the sides of the plants too much and then they won't be as strong. And also we want to make sure that they have the chance to pollinate by the bugs. And then just for tonight, just because it's going to be so cold and I don't want them having any shock, the rest are just going to get fleeced. So they will be hopefully fine with that little bit of protection. As we fed the bed before these have been planted, we won't be looking at actually feeding these at all. If you do feed yours rather than feeding the soil, then you can start doing that from around mid-February and just use any of the feed that you'd normally use for flowering plants and follow the directions on the pot that you have. The net that I'm putting on will only be for tonight, and then after that they should be hardy enough. Other than maybe if we get to like -6 to 8, then I will possibly get it back out again if they're still reasonably small. Otherwise, they'll be taking their chances. So it will really depend on the weather there. Please let me know if you have any questions or if there is anything that's unclear, and we can hopefully answer that. And we will be looking at these again when they are starting to flower. While broad beans are hardy, it is likely that the frost can do them a little bit of damage, and this is usually by the leaves getting a little bit blackened. It may knock them back quite harshly even. When they're completely frozen or covered in snow, just let them fall on their own. Don't try and help them in any way. They'll just recover in their own time. If they do get completely bitten by frost, then usually the plants will just recover in their own time and put up new shoots. So although it can look really bad, don't give up hope on them, and hopefully they'll be absolutely fine come spring.